Good morning, guys. Today, Conor McGregor shares a very powerful message in setting our minds up for success, and that is the thought of be grateful. Conor McGregor tells us that in his life, he was grateful for the little things before he achieved the great things that he has today, the money, the fame of being a champion. He, first of all, remembers all the little things, and he always remains grateful. So here's a guy who's so successful. So how can we apply this today and forever? Let's look for opportunities today to be grateful. Even the tiniest, smallest things. Look around you, wherever you are right now. You have breath in you, then it's all possible. You get to choose whether you want to be grateful or whether you want to focus on the negative things. If you are grateful, there's no room for any negative thoughts. Have a great morning, everyone.
I was a maybe 24, 25-year-old man, and I was a member of Kiwanis. And if you guys didn't know, Kiwanis it's kind of like Rotary or Lions Club. It's a nonprofit organization that's dedicated towards service in the community. And I was in Kiwanis, and I was the youngest one, hands down. Like in the room, we'd get together every single month on a Tuesday, and we'd have lunch, and we'd have a speaker in, and then we'd talk about a volunteer project we were going to do that month, and that was kind of how it went in Kiwanis for me. And so, but in my room, I was 24, 25, in the room every Tuesday, when we got together, everyone else was older. I mean, they were like 50s and 60s and 70s older. When I was 20, I was the youngest person in the room every single time. And I remember I was having a particularly challenging time because I was thinking about quitting my job, but I was scared because I hadn't saved any money. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I just knew that I knew that the job wasn't the thing at the time, but I didn't know what it was, and so I was scared to make the leap. And I was kind of struggling with some existential stuff because, it'd been 4 or 5 years I hadn't had a girlfriend, and it was just frustrating. I was like dating, but I just wasn't making real connections when I was dating, and I was just unhappy in that part of my life. I didn't know what I was doing with my career. I didn't have a significant relationship. I was like, oh man, I'm just I didn't feel good. And so I was having a really down day on that particular Tuesday. And I went in and I was sitting next to this guy, and he was one of the awesome Kiwanians who was there. And he was, I think he was probably 59, 60 years old. He was in banking, very successful, wealthy guy, happy, he was like a happy-go-lucky grandpa type, just a good dude. And I'm just kind of listing off to him all these things that suck, And he says, well, what are you doing about it? And I said, well, and he says, well, I bet, and he said, I bet I know what's going on. He said, you're going home, you're probably watching too much TV, drinking too much beer, and sitting alone too often, or you're going out and not having any fun, and and we're just talking. My mode was, I go inside, so I kind of pull away from people when I'm unhappy. And so I was like, yeah, I kind of pull away, and I'm in my house. And he says, well, I know how to solve your problem. I said, oh, what is it? He goes, buy tickets. I'm like, buy tickets? What do you mean buy tickets? He goes, I want you to open up the paper. Remember the papers? So he said, I want you to open up the paper. And he goes, I want you to see what's going on in your town. And I want you to buy tickets to whatever's coming up the next 7 weekends. Is there a symphony coming to town? Buy tickets. Is there a ballet? Buy tickets. Is there an art museum? Buy tickets. He said, is there a concert? Buy tickets. And I said, what do you mean? I said, buy tickets. I want you to buy 1, 2, 3, 4 tickets. And I want you to take your friends, and I just want you to go. I want you to buy tickets, and I want you to go. And I'm like, what the hell does this have to do with anything I'm even talking about? He goes, just buy the tickets and come back next month, tell me about the tickets. And I'm like, no. And he literally pulls out his wallet, and I'll never forget it. He sets down 3 $100 bills, and he goes, buy the tickets. Here's the money. And I'm like, what do you even? And I was literally so frustrated. So long story short, I'll try to keep it shorter. But so I bought tickets. I got like a symphony ticket. There was like a dance troupe in town or something weird. There's a Dave Matthews concert. And what else? There's one other thing. I can't remember what it was. There's something about the tickets. I went with 1 or 2 or 3 friends and went to them. And the second, I remember the opening act for the Dave Matthews Band started, and I was like, got it. Because sometimes when you're down and out, you got to get out and about. And so I was down and out, and he got me out and about. And then with your friends and you're socializing, and it's in a new environment, and things are happening, and my mind just started turning on again. I started getting all these ideas and these dreams that I don't know where they were. They weren't in my room. They weren't in my bed. These ideas and dreams, they weren't happening in my journal. The ideas and dreams, they weren't happening in my daily planner. It was like I was stuck there. So he moved me over here. Have you ever been like at a ballet or a symphony and orchestra, and you're just sitting there, and all of a sudden you feel amazing? Like the music hits you, this idea comes in, and you walk out and you feel amazing. Have you ever gone to a Broadway show? You went in and you were frustrated and freaked out because all the horrible New York traffic, and all of a sudden you laugh your ass off and you leave the Broadway show and you feel like $1 million. And now no problem is gonna slow you down. That's buy tickets. Buy tickets to the seminar, buy tickets to the event, buy tickets to the art museum, the ballet, buy tickets. And I mean, if you're down and out and your life sucks right now, go buy tickets for the next 4 weeks. And I promise you're gonna be like, damn, buy tickets. That changed my life. Changed my life too. And I've learned ever since then, like if I'm down and out, it's like, buy tickets.
Your environment creates your energy. When you are at home and you are down and you are out and you just stay home and you never get any fresh air and you never get people around you to push you and make you feel like things are possible, then you stay stuck. And when you get outside or when you go to an event and when you meet people, even if you're not there to learn, even if you haven't picked up anything at that event, just the fact that you got out and you met people and you changed your environment and you got some sunshine can make a world of difference. It is incredibly difficult to be an entrepreneur. It's hard. It's hard not just in that you're not seeing results at the beginning and you're trying to figure out how to make money, but it's also hard that you're by yourself, and you doubt yourself and you have insecurities and fears and you don't know if it's going to work out or not. It's really hard. And so when you're stuck doing everything on your own, and then the fears and the doubts and insecurities creep in when you're by yourself at home, that's the path down to the scary land, that's the path down to anxiety and stress and depression. And it's a big reason why we stay stuck and why we start and stop and start and stop and start and stop and can't stay consistent. Have you ever been on that entrepreneur roller coaster where you're motivated and excited and things are great one day and the next day you wake up and it's kind of not so great anymore? Has that happened to you? That happened to me a lot, that's for sure, in the early days. I quit on my business partner because I wasn't getting results and I just felt like a loser, felt like a total idiot because nothing was working out. It's the worst day of my life. It wasn't that I didn't have the heart or the ambition to do great things or didn't believe in the company, it's just, it wasn't working out. Nothing was working out. And I felt terrible about it. And a big reason why is because I was alone. I was by myself, I was alone. I didn't tell my friends. I guess I had a business partner, but I felt bad talking about it with him. And I stayed stuck. And so it took me a bunch of years to figure out these things that I'm about to share with you today about some hacks that I've used to help me maintain the momentum. So let's dive in. The first is every morning I go for a Believe Walk. And the Believe Walk is just me going outside. And sun or rain or snow here in Canada, I go for a Believe Walk. And on that walk, it's just a way to start my day. Because no matter how great a day I might have today, tomorrow I wake up and it's another day. Even today it was rough. I only slept 2.5 hours or something last night. So it's a very non-typical day. Energy not where it needs to be or usually is in the morning. And so first thing, let's get up and give us a little bit of grace. It may not be as great a day as as we usually do, but I'm going to go for my Believe walk. And just getting outside, just getting some fresh air on my face, just, having some sun with me, just not being in my home, already starts to lighten the mood, already starts to give me more energy. And so every day I go for a Believe walk. Unless I am just completely incapacitated, I wake up, get some sun on my face, wherever I am, and get my Believe walk and just think about what's the kind of day I want to have. What's my intention for the day, and try to set that up. 2, try to go to events. And to the idea of, buy tickets to things. It could be things that you don't care about, but it could also be things that you actually, you're going to be around some people. And every time I go away to an event, this is why, the pandemic has been hard, because you've just been sitting inside. But every time that I get to go away to some kind of event, whether I learn something there or not from the speakers or the people there, I always come back with renewed energy, with renewed excitement, with renewed ideas. Even if you just go on, I remember going on vacations, you go on a vacation and you sit on the beach. And I hate the beach. I hate sitting there on the beach. I'll go and sit on the beach for one day and then all of a sudden get bored of sitting on the beach. I want to do something. And so I'm then instantly pulling out my notebook and coming up with ideas or reading books. And you come away refreshed, even though the goal wasn't necessarily business, but you get new ideas for your business when you get out of your routine. The routine is great, but when you feel like you're stuck, then adding a little bit of variety to it can really help. This is the balance that we have to do as entrepreneurs. We love variety, we love new, we love trying all sorts of new things, but if we don't stay consistent on something, we'll never accomplish our goals. But if all we do is do the same thing constantly and we stay consistent on doing the same thing, we end up getting bored and hating our business, and now we just bought ourselves a job. So it's that constant balance where if you haven't had any variety for a while, you need to add more variety in. And if you haven't had consistency for a while, you need to add more consistency. This ebb and flow, that's part of being an entrepreneur that I think you need to build in. So just scheduling time. So you have your Believe walks, at least I do, every morning to set me up for the day. And then scheduling time to be able to go off and just not be at home. Whether it's a conference or an event, a vacation, just something to refresh my mind. And then the third thing is just join a community. It was one of the biggest things that I missed was I had no community. I was doing it all by myself, and being introverted and being shy, I don't naturally seek out community and talking to people. It's not something that is normally in my mind, and I'm nervous, going up and talking to people. So it's harder for someone like me and maybe someone like you to join a community, but man, what a difference it makes. I think of Movement Makers, and this is really the program I wish I had when I was getting started. Movement Makers is, yes, advice from me, and we meet every 2 weeks and talk about the movement you're trying to build and everything you're trying to create. But more than that is a connection and community to each other. That if you want to be a thought leader, you are not by yourself. Think about what you're trying to do. If I think about what I was trying to do, like I'm the only one who I know who's trying to do this. Who are your friends who are trying to make YouTube videos? Who else is walking through this mall making content? Right? Nobody. So who do you know who's doing what you want to do? Probably nobody. And who do you know who's doing what you want to do at a high level and who's ambitious and hungry? Probably nobody, right? Like you are probably the one who is the most kind, optimistic, ambitious person around you. And so when you start to get around other people who are like that as well, man, what a huge difference it makes. And so you can look at Movement Makers if you want to be a thought leader, but just in general, find a community. Find a community of people who are doing the thing that you are trying to do, even if they haven't done it yet, but they're ambitious and they're hungry and they're trying to do it. It could change your life. Starting a business is really hard, and you know this. If you're watching this video, you made it this far, you know it. You know it's hard. The environment that you're around is only partially supporting you. And when you can shake it up, when you can get outside and go for walks, get some sun on your face, when you can get out of your home and go to events and just be around other people who are doing things, and when you can join a community of people who are trying to do something similar to what you're doing, it can make all the difference in the world. You've got a great idea. You're doing it for the right reason. You've got a noble cause. And if you feel like you have those energy dips where one day you're on top of the world and it's all exciting, and then the next day you kind of wake up and you're in a rut. If that rut continues on, for days or weeks, it's a sign not that you're that this isn't right for you. It's just a sign that you need to add a little more variety and remind yourself of who you are.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
Good afternoon, guys. How's it going so far? Have you found things in your life to be grateful for today? Have you never stopped on trying to look for things that you know have helped you in your life, even though you may not be having the greatest day right now, and hopefully you are? If you haven't, again, go right back at it. Right now, wherever you are, if there's something that's bothering you, something that's negative, try it right now. Be grateful for one thing. Stop and think for a moment. What are you grateful for right now? You have to remember your power to believe that you can change your thoughts in a second to gratitude. So be grateful for something right now and just notice what happens to your feelings ever so slightly. And then never give up. Keep going. The day is still going. Go back at it again. Gratitude is the most powerful thing. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Every business, I have 5 companies now. We'll do 100 million this year. I started every one of those companies with no money. 0 money, man. Just hustle and grit and courage. I've called on people I didn't want to be with. I've done things I didn't want to do, okay? It is not about doing what you love. It's about doing whatever it takes to make your dreams a reality, to be closed and stay closed. If you're not closed on your product, if you're not buying your own product, why would you expect anybody else to? Man, $400 is a lot of money. Your prospect says to you, $400, do it. Listen to me, man. You're 32 years old. You've been trying to save money for 20 years and you hadn't. Do it and do it now. I don't need anything special here. I'm not gonna be empathetic. Quit being stupid, write the check. I don't know if the compliance guy likes that or not. But I know this, look, if you believe in what you're selling, how many of you believe in what you're selling? Then close the deal. Then close the deal, okay? Learn to close and you'll never be without work. You'll never be without money. You'll have an organization that is booming in affluence. You'll have a pipeline full. You'll have appointments filled up.
Want to be happy? Build a life, not just a business. Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and this channel was created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something more inside you too. You've got Michael Jordan level genius at something. So today, let's live your best belief life and learn how to become a millionaire. Enjoy.
Group called me yesterday. I'm actually trying to do a deal with CNBC, and the guy says, I'm interested. I said, good, I'll be there tomorrow. Call me back. I'm flying into New York tomorrow. What am I trying to do right now? By the way, I was supposed to be here today. I'll fly into New York tomorrow. I can be there tomorrow, Mr. Ackerman. Okay, how does that work? I can't do tomorrow. I was going to be here anyway, man. I'm trying to close the deal. Let me close the deal. I'll figure out how to be in 2 places at one time later. Right? Some of you in the room, they're like, hey, I can see you at 4 o'clock on Tuesday, right? And the customer says to you, I'll see you at 4 o'clock on Tuesday. Let me look at my calendar. Like you're so busy. Dude, that is so old. That is so old. And it's dishonest. It's dishonest, man. You want to see me Tuesday, 4 o'clock? I give you Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Agree to it. Done. Done. I'll call you if something changes. If there's an earthquake between now and next Tuesday morning, there's a massive earthquake and I can't be there. Do you think everybody will understand? Commit first, figure the rest out later. Close the deal right now. Fill your calendar up. Your calendar's got the devil all over it. White space on a calendar and you will meet the devil. You don't need to die, okay? You go 2 or 3 days without anything going on, how many of you start having doubts? You're in hell. Oh my God, this ain't gonna work for me. There's nobody coming in. I'm not gonna hit my target. Okay, I know what I'll do. I'll lower my target. Dude, that's the devil doing that, man. That's a criminal. Never, ever, if you're taking notes, never lower a target. Never lower a target. Never lower a target. Your mom and dad would tell you to lower a target. A manager might tell you to lower a target. Be reasonable. Be reasonable with yourself. Just bring it down a little bit. No, man. Criminal products are created like that. A guy sees the girl that he wants. That's the girl. She says no. He goes to another girl. Right? Gave up on his dream. If you're going to give up on your own dream, how are you going to build an organization?
Rule number 2, make sacrifices with Gary Vaynerchuk.
You don't want to go to college? You don't have to go to college. You don't want to be a doctor? You don't have to go be a doctor, right? But that also means that if that's what your parents want and that's what they're willing to pay for, you can't be like, hey mom, you know how you're gonna give me $80,000 to go be a doctor? That's what you want? Well, I don't want that. I want to be a painter, so give me that $80,000. That's not how it works. Yeah. You have to leave that on the table. That money, that infrastructure comes with that ambition. Like if you want that safety and that money, well, that means you're gonna be a lawyer. If you wanna be a motorcycle racer, that means you're gonna live in a studio apartment with 19 friends. People ask the dumbest shit. This kid the other day is like, Gary Vee, but how do you do this in the Bay Area? It's so expensive. Like, you moved. You don't live in the Bay Area.
You have a choice.
People are like, Gary, what the f? Like, you're trying to pay $14 an hour? How do you survive in New York City? I'm like, you live in Queens and you take, like you can do anything.
Mm-hmm. You have options.
People aren't willing to sacrifice for what they want.
Rule number 3, believe with Les Brown.
How did you crawl out from under the labels that people were putting on you?
The easiest thing I've done was to get out from under the labels and to live the life that I live. The most difficult thing I've ever done was to believe that I can do it.
What's the difference?
The difference is that when you don't know what's impacting you, and it's something that's holding you down and you're not aware of it. The great anthropologist Margaret Mead was in a restaurant in London, and a guy was serving her and said, "There's several Americans here tonight." And she said, "Is that right?" "Yeah." So let me know when you serve them dessert. I'll tell you exactly how many are here. He said, "Oh, you couldn't possibly." And so he came back and said, "Okay, I've done it." And she got up and she walked around and she came back and she said, "There are around 25 here." And he looked at the roster. "How did you know that?" Say, "In America, we eat differently from you when we eat a dessert. You eat it from the crust toward the tip. We eat it from the tip toward the crust. When you eat a slice of pie, how do you eat yours?"
Definitely, yeah, from the tip back to the crust, for sure.
Yeah, okay, and so there are things that when you, in my situation, when you live in a dominant culture that is designed to destroy your sense of self and your belief in yourself, and you have to learn ways in which you can begin to connect with this power that you have within yourself to handle where you are. The key is to be constantly in a perpetual process of discovering the truth of who you are and fighting constantly to look for ways in which you can escape the inner conversation. I speak to audiences around the world, and I train speakers as well, and I tell them that When you speak, that there's an objective that you want to achieve when you speak to an audience, because how people live their lives is a result of the story they believe about themselves. So you as a speaker, when you speak in this program, when people see you, what you do is distract, dispute, and inspire. You distract people from their current story with your guests and the questions that you ask. Through the process of the ongoing questioning and the way in which they respond and the things they have learned, you dismantle their current belief system and inspire them to create a new chapter with their lives. And so, but that's an ongoing process of constantly interrupting that conversation, what psychologists call your self-explanatory style, because life is going to beat up on you in so many ways, and many things, they come back, negative thoughts and how you feel about yourself, they don't die. They come back once you stop doing the maintenance work on your mind, listening to motivational messages, going to seminars and workshops, spending time quietly listening to the still small voice within. Who am I really? Is this really me? Am I giving my best? Am I just reflecting what's around me? Because all of these various things affect how we show up in life.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 4, develop grit with Tom Bilyeu.
If grit
Good evening, guys. How did it go today? What were some of the things that you were grateful for or are grateful for right now? The day's not over. As you wind down, reflect back on all the things in your life that you are grateful for. Again, it's the most powerful thing in the world. I want to share with you my personal story very briefly. I am doing everything I'm doing right now in this moment and all these wonderful things because for me, it's all about gratitude. I am so deeply grateful for all the people in my life, for you, for humanity, for all the wonderful things that we have that have enabled me to be the person I am right now. And so gratitude is everything. It's driving my determination to be my best for you and for the world. And so I encourage you to never give up on that. Continue to be grateful. It will transform you in unbelievable ways. Have a great evening, everyone.
Most people, most champions do not have something that you do not have. They lack something that you have. Or a champion in the physical realm, a lot of times they don't have an off switch. They just keep going. You have an off switch. Their lack of it, which is what drives their success. And so to the same degree, you probably do things every single day that you should not be doing. And so what I want to introduce to you is a concept of the anti-routine as the most productive routine that is humanly possible for you to accomplish what you want. So number 1 is obviously just shifting the perspective of I need to do more things and I need to add more things to my routine, when in fact you need to stop doing things that you're currently doing. All that remains is the work to be done. And then you become very clear about why you are not being effective. So number 1 is that priorities mean 2 things cannot be equally important. And here's the mentally challenging thing about this, is that when you work on something, and let's say I spend 30 minutes on this thing and I spend 30 minutes on item B. If I spend 30 minutes on both things and I say this one's more important than this one, I can say that, but that's not reality, because I basically just said they were both important, which means neither of them are, which is why most people cannot get done, because they cannot say no. A lot of people don't need new things to add to the routine. You need to have a routine of saying no, an anti-routine, and that is the thing that's going to yield those outsized returns on productivity. You can't say yes to everything, and therefore it means that you can't do two things with different levels of importance. It's either important or it's not important. If it's important, it means you say no to everything else. So if you say this is the priority, then it means you do not do other things besides that thing. That is how it is a priority. That is how you literally prioritize.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Alex Hormozi, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Rule number 2, set your own rules.
We think that for some reason we are doing something wrong when we are not self-caring, because it is bad to not self-care, because we should, we must, or else, or what. And the reason this pisses me off, the reason that I made a tweet that went viral this morning about this, is that weekends are new for humans. They're not even 100 years old. 1929 in England is when the first weekend got passed by a union. And it's because people hated what they were doing for their life. And so if you want to truly give self-care, then stop hating what you do every day. Novel concept, I know. Stop hanging out with people that suck. Mind-blowing, like I said, I know. And the reason that I am so passionate about this is that I have been told throughout my entire life that I was working too much, I was not balancing the things that I was supposed to be balancing. And you know what? Who gives a shit? It's my life. I don't need to live by anyone else's rules, and neither do you, right? And so when people say you should be doing this, you are not doing X, Y, Z, just take a pause and be like, are these rules that I want to listen to? Are those your rules that you're trying to apply to my life? Because there are no rules. You can do whatever the hell you want. If you want to work for a year straight, work for a year straight. And the reason you can work for a year straight is because you like what you do. The reason these people try and project their own self-hatred for their own lives onto you is because they cannot imagine a world in which someone might actually like what they do every day and don't need an escape, a break from what their existence is on a daily basis. And so don't feel guilty for just being you. And if you don't like your life every day, rather than try and figure out and make time for self-care, it would probably be better to flip the ratio and start thinking, what can I do in my actual life to stop hating it so much that I need an escape from it, right? And that's different from like, yes, you need to sleep, yes, you need to, rest, etc. But there's a difference between that and like, I just need a total spa day. And if that's how you relax, cool. But the thing is projecting on someone else how they should, must, need to, have to relax or do whatever, it's nonsensical. It doesn't exist, right? I wanted to make this video, even though it's short, because it just drives me bananas. If you want to work, work. If you want to take off, take off. Just don't listen to what anyone else says about what you should do for your life. You're going to die and so will they. And it's not going to matter. And in 10 generations, don't even remember your name. So do what you want. You're going to die. And that is the ultimate freedom. And for some reason, we live under these chains that we think exist, but don't. And so I think the process of growing and really making ourselves free is just simply identifying the things that don't really exist and only existed in our mind to begin with. And I think that's why self-care really bugs the shit out of me, or this whole self-care movement. It's also soft as fuck. Like, just work, right? Just get it done. You don't need to like give yourself a bubble bath every day because like your work's so hard. Like, humans have been here a very long time. We've dealt with much, much harder shit. Your, boss having a deadline the next day is not the worst that you've been through. And so as a final sign off on this, think about the hardest things that you've been through in your life. Everyone has gone through hardship. Everyone has had difficulties in childhood. Everyone has had difficulties with siblings, with parents, blah, 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 these events that shape our lives. You have been through harder shit than this. You will survive. It will be okay. You don't need to self-care. You don't need to listen to what anyone else is saying. You do you. And if that means self-care, by all means, but just don't project it on anyone else.
Rule number 3, find meaning.
I would say there are days that I feel like less energized or things like that, for sure. Not about like the big picture of like, I don't believe that this cause is not worthy. But I do think a lot of people have that too, where they're like, what I'm doing is meaningless, right? And then I get into, I think everything's meaningless, and then we can just create whatever meaning, we choose to, because if we don't believe in a capital M meaning, which a lot of people disagree with, that's fine. But if you don't believe in a capital M meaning, I think that's very freeing, because then you can create little m meaning for whatever you want. And so if you believe, you can then choose to architect your own life in whatever ways that you deem meaningful, and make the activities you do aligned with that meaning. The difference between capital M meaning and little m meaning, and this is kind of like the basis of nihilism, which people have like a very negative viewpoint around, which I'm not entirely sure about why, but like capital M meaning means that like, this is the meaning of life, period. Like for everyone, this is the meaning of life. Whereas if we say that there is no single agreed upon meaning of life, and then people say, well, then that is your big meaning of life. And I'm like, yes, you're right. I believe that there is no meaning. That is the meaning that I believe. And they're like, well, then that is the capital M. Then sure, that's my capital M meaning, is that there is no meaning. What's the implication of that? It means now that we have meaning-making machines in our brain, and so we get to create and destroy meaning as we see fit. And so if we choose an activity and we deem that goal meaningful because we think it's more interesting or it energizes us, then we can ascribe meaning to that and do more of it. And what's nice about not having capital M meaning is that that can shift, right? That might be good for a season and then it can shift. I will say that the downside of not having capital M meaning, which I consider to be religion off the shelf, is that it's more difficult because you have no one who's saying, here's the big box of rules, you can read it, and then that way you don't have to make the decisions about it. But I think it's more difficult, but ultimately more rewarding if you have reasoning behind why you believe what you believe. Because then you have to independently come up with your own conclusions about those things. It also makes it malleable so that if you get new data or new evidence, then you can change your mind, which a lot of people, again, have difficulty with. But like if you change the information, then it would make sense that if it materially changes the outcome, that the way that you believe about something should change. And I think a lot of people identify with their beliefs as a part of themselves rather than as what I prefer to call them, which is assumptions, because they work the same way. What's the difference between belief and assumption? Not a lot, right? The only difference is just what we call the word. And so assumptions are based on things that we've observed, and then we assume something as a result. And so I would say that beliefs are just assumptions, but when you call them that, they become less tied to your identity. If you have an assumption, you don't say, you challenged my assumption. It's like, well, yeah, you challenged my assumption. Oh, that's great. I was assuming this. It must be this. And then they become much more flexible, and then we don't tie our egos into them, and I think ultimately it serves more people better in the long run.
Rule number 4, outwork yourself.
I've said this quote many times in our communities and on this channel, which is, you must outwork your self-doubt. Right? If you feel like you are not confident, then you must outwork the things that you're insecure about. If you're like, man, I'm selling these services and I'm not sure if I'm that good at them, then do more of them and don't pretend. Honesty is one of the most compelling and convicting things for persuading people, right? Saying what you are good at and what you are not good at truthfully will win you far more followers and fans and loyal customers and loyal employees than pretending. Because at the end of the day, they can feel that you are disingenuous because they know that it is hollow. They know that on the inside, you do not believe the words that are coming out of your mouth. And that is how people speak without conviction, and they cannot sway others because they have not swayed themselves, because they have lost their own respect. And so I am not the believer in buying the Ferrari when you can't afford it. I am not the believer in affording the home and paying for the home that you cannot afford because you want to pretend like this is the lifestyle that you want to be around. If you go under the guise of networking, you can still go to those places without buying a $4 million house when you're barely making, a few $100,000 a year. It doesn't make sense. I like Jay-Z's quote around this, which is, if you can't buy something twice, don't buy it once. I really like that. And so this is one of the most common questions I get for newer entrepreneurs, because they think that they have to pose on Instagram in order to get wealthy. And what it does is it conflates sequence. Jeff Bezos is famous because of what he did, not because he became famous as Jeff Bezos and then used his following to build something. Elon Musk is famous for what he's accomplished, not for being Elon Musk and then creating something as a result, right? Let the actions be the thing that gives you the fame rather than yourself, right? At least that is Alex's 2 cents in my viewpoint on the world. And I think most of Mosey Nation, you guys share that belief with me. And for those of you who are new to this channel, you're gonna get more of this type of stuff and none of the fake it till you make it nonsense. That is a sure way to be broke. And I will tell you this as a last thing. The amount of people who in 2008, when everything crashed, who were faking it until they, quote, made it, just faked it until they lost it all. Because they lost what little amount that they had because they were so overextended. But I can tell you that just about everyone can become wealthy if you choose to live on less than you make. Right? And that is a ratio. Wealth is a ratio, not a number. All right. And so, anywho, if you are having struggles with this question, I would posit, I would beg of you that you build your own respect first, that you're honest with yourself first. And if you always maintain the integrity of, hey, last year we got smashed, right? This year we'll do a little bit better. And 2 years from now, when you do even better than that, you can be truthful and people will believe you. But if you always are telling a story about how you're always doing so well, A, everyone will hate you. B, no one cares. And C, you will know that you are full of it. And at the end of the day, I think that is the only thing that we're going to keep with us
And when we die, everyone's going to forget about us anyways. So you might as well at least enjoy yourself while you're alive.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5, develop good relationships.